still is really scary for me to even share that because it's so vulnerable and it's so weird and it's, you know, all the things. It's embarrassing and all the things.
Day 9 from bed. It's late. Wow, has it been a day. Started off with some really intense meditation and then a really intense breath work with a massive physical release, energetic release happening in my body, and all sorts of awarenesses and realizations and blind spots revealed in that, and then having to do some really hard things today that I know is for the best, but sometimes the best things can be the hardest things to do. And sometimes I think I know my daughter said this, but I think she said sometimes the nice thing isn't always the right thing. Oof, do I know that lesson in my life. Lots of shedding today in the throes of spiritual healing, really. Generational healing, inner healing. Some people think it looks magical, but actually it just looks like this. And this morning, that's what was happening within me, within my body, within my psyche, within my energy, all of it. And it was a big morning. So as somebody that is a person that wants to do, there's days that I have to let myself just be incredibly lazy all day. And that's really hard for me because I beat myself up about it, because I should be doing. And some days it's like, I just can't. Today was one of those days that I just couldn't. I didn't have it in me. I just did not have that will in me after such an intense morning. So sometimes that's the message, is when we're doing really deep healing work, we have to let our bodies and minds rest. We have to give ourselves the grace of allowing ourselves to rest, and not just rest and then beat yourself up the whole time. And just a constant reminder that you're doing great. You're doing great. So day 9 from bed.
Day 10. Day 10 from, wow, apparently today I'm having a hard time speaking. So it is day 10 coming to you from my closet, because my closet is kind of my sanctuary. It's where I have my altar. You guys can see that. I'm not moving it too fast. And so it's kind of my space that I come to when I just want to go within, connect. I mean, obviously I have my partner Scott and my son Isaiah that both live here, and we live in an apartment. And so it's pretty small, and sometimes feel like I don't have that space that I need. So one of the things that I put into the program that we help people grow spiritually, one of the tasks, one of the exercises that they do is to create some sort of space, either an altar or just a space, and maybe that's in your closet, but just some sort of space that's yours. So when you go into it, you can come to your center, you can come to your connection, you can come into your heart, you can block out all the noise and just get really quiet and get back to connecting with the truth of who you really are. And that's what this closet does for me when I come in here. I have an altar out in our living room as well, and I sit at that altar every morning and usually pull an oracle card for myself and light an incense and just kind of sit for a few minutes and think about my intention for the day. And I do that, but the closet, my closet altar is for me when I just want to go inside and have that space. I ended up doing that yesterday morning, and as you guys know, I didn't really post too much of a video last night because it was a pretty intense day. And it started off with, I was called to do a meditation with a rape ceremony. Rape is a sacred snuff. It's a sacred tobacco. And I've had it for a while. I was introduced to us from a friend of ours a couple of years ago who's a shaman, and it really is used to connect to the supernatural world. And so after I've had sort of my second, as I call it, my second spiritual awakening a few months ago, I was called to do this practice, use this practice more and more to really connect with the earth, the spirit, the soul, the consciousness of the earth, and the mystical realms. And so yesterday morning I was really called to do one. So I came in my closet and I did a ceremony, and for me it obviously, it brought to the surface some energy, some conditioning, some generational patterns that had been inside of me, operating in my subconscious, so I wasn't even aware of it. And it came blatantly clear to me yesterday. It was a really profound experience. In fact, I had an actual memory of a past life when I was a queen, and I was tasked with protecting a bunch of people in a cellar. I don't know why, I don't know what was happening, but all I knew, that I was there to protect them in the cellar. And the memory came as a visual, but more than that, it came as an emotion, a feeling that was so intense, I knew it had to be real. It just took over my body, this emotion of guilt, of sadness, because I didn't save these people. And that's the memory that came to me. And then I saw how that has been a loop leading into this lifetime. I saw so many instances in my life where I am constantly trying to make sure everyone around me is okay. I'm trying to make sure that they're safe, that they're under my wing, that they're feeling okay, that they're emotionally okay. This has been this loop in my life. And, you know, as it was first coming up yesterday, I thought it was just, well, growing up, you know, my dad tended to lose his temper and yell a lot. And so, you know, you were walking on eggshells. So I thought, well, it's probably created from that. But it didn't feel like that was the exact beginning of it. And I remember in working with the White Witch a few months ago in her 6-week mentorship program, she told me that the way that you can know if programs or patterns have started in this lifetime for you to clear or previous ones is if it feels like it goes deeper, like there's just something inside of you that feels like it goes deeper than that. And this was that instance. There are definitely patterns and things that I've created in this lifetime that I'm certain I know I've created in this lifetime. And, you know, I've cleared a lot of them. Obviously, still lots to go because I'm still alive. So I know the feeling within my body if it's something from this, and now I'm really starting to get to know if it's a loop from a previous incarnation. And I was crystal clear this was a loop from a previous incarnation, that just, the loop was going in this life. The loop it was bleeding into this lifetime. And I could see how it has ruled my life. And I could see the solution to how I really had to stop this loop and this pattern. And it was something really difficult that I had to do yesterday, a really difficult conversation I had to have, heartbreaking, and yet I knew deep in my soul, in my heart, that this is what had to be done. And, you know, it nearly broke me yesterday. I had to just let myself, after I did the rape and the meditation, I became clear of that. I, you know, got up and kind of went and did some things, pulled some cards for myself. Of course, the cards were all about this. And then I've just felt like, it's still on the surface. Like it's still there. Even though I'm aware of it now, it feels like it's on the surface. So I knew I knew my body was calling to have some sort of an energetic, physical release. And so I, you know, took a shower and I was like, I gotta go back in. Like I gotta go back in. So I came back in my closet And when I choose what breathwork or meditation I do, I just really tune into my intuition and ask myself, what do I need today? I have so many breathwork meditations from not only the Authentic Life Blueprint program, but the program that we had before that, for our YouTube channel, for a breathwork mini series, little mini course that I put together, and then ones that I just played around with. So I have so many breathwork meditations. And then of course, as just regular meditations, I do Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations, I do Brian Scott's meditations, I do music at a certain hertz on YouTube. I'll do those. If I don't want any guided and I just want music, I'll do those. I just, like I said, I just sort of tap into my intuition and go, what do I need today? And so as I was sitting here going, what do I need to sort of move this through? I was like, well, I know that the root chakra has to do with memories, not just from this lifetime in the first 7 years of this lifetime, but also from previous incarnations. Your root is sort of the direct link to where those are stored. So I was like, okay, I need to do a root from my Authentic Life Blueprint. And there, within that program that Scott and I have, there's 15-minute daily breathwork meditations that you do depending on what phase that you're in. And then there's hour-long ones, and you do those a couple times a week. Usually not more than a couple times a week because they're really intense. They're hour-long. So I was like, I know that I need to sort of pull this stuff up and allow it to work up and out. And so I intuitively felt called to do the root weekly, the long one. And yeah, within a few minutes, the release started coming. My body has physical releases. I've had them many, 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 many times. It's the way that my body processes energy. Some people do it this way, some people don't. For me, it's a very physical experience. My body shakes, sounds come out, screams come out, noises come out. It's literally energy that's moving up and out of my body. And it's intense, it's physical, and it requires a massive amount of surrender in this process, because our instincts is to want to hold on and tighten up and not let these things go, because it feels weird, it feels scary, it feels like I don't have control. It feels like, even though, my husband Scott has helped me through so many of these and he knows what to do and he's so good at it, I still have that voice of like, oh, I don't want to disturb him, I don't want to disturb my son, I don't want anyone else to hear me. Like, it's like my witchiness showing for me. It feels like my witchiness showing, which is extremely vulnerable. And so it's, can be challenging. Even when I know this energy wants to come up and out and be moved through me, it can be challenging because it's scary. It's like opening up, it's filleting myself open. And that's what happened. I heard the voice, I could feel it. I know when I can feel it in my root. I can feel it. I cough a lot. I'll feel like I'm gonna throw up. The movement is like it's trying to come up and out, and I just have to keep letting go. And then finally, I surrendered enough that, my whole body starts shaking. It's an emotional release, and it's screaming coming out, not me screaming. It's just moving out through me as energy. And then, usually after that happens, there's a massive amount of crying, and then more movement. And then when it's done, it's done. I mean, it's like a flip switches and it's out and it's done. And then usually I end up just laying there for a while because it's pretty exhausting. This process may sound so weird and crazy, I realize, to many of you that may have stumbled upon this video that don't know much about me. I'm sure it's like, that's not normal, and it's not normal. And for a long time, as I said, it still is really scary for me to even share that, because it's so vulnerable and it's so weird, and it's, all the things. It's embarrassing and all the things. And yet I know that I have to share it, because I know it's a process of healing for me and my body. And if it's a process of healing for me and my body, it will resonate with other people out there who are on the same frequency as me. It will resonate with you, and you will either understand at a soul level, or you've experienced it in your body, or something inside of you will go, yeah, I recognize that. And that's really why I have to share it, because of the people on that same frequency. So again, I know it may sound really weird, but it's, you know, you can look up somatic experiencing, and there's on YouTube, there's a video, I include it in my programs, of what happens to they show what happens to a polar bear after being in a fight or flight response, and then what the polar bear's body does after it comes out of the fight or flight response, which is shake, tremor, noises, and it's actually our body's natural process to release the pent up, like all the adrenaline and cortisol and everything that gets, all the chemicals that go surging through your body when in stress. Your body actually wants to release those, like animals in nature, release that anxiety. But we've never been taught how to do that. In fact, it's weird, right? It's weird to scream and shake and cry after, but you know, if you can talk to paramedics and they'll tell you, they'll see after people are in car accidents or things like that, that this will happen because it's their body's way of diffusing that built up stress and anxiety and tension. And so that's what my body's doing, but not just like after one event. It's like that my body's been storing that for my whole life. And so sometimes it's for lots of events, it's just my body's way of processing. So after that happened, it became clear to me at that point the conversation that I had to have, which was incredibly hard, so challenging, and I knew it was the right thing. It was really hard for me, especially because that program seeping in from a previous life, trying to keep everyone under my wing and make sure they're okay, it was really putting an end to that, so we can release it from our body, we can meditate on it, and we can do some breath work on it, but then we actually have to do something differently in our lives, or else it never changes. And so that conversation was the ending point of, okay, I've released this. I became aware of it in my mind. I had the memory. I saw how it was seeping into experiences in this life. I removed it from my body. Now I actually have to do something different, and that's what the conversation was. And you know, that was the process for me yesterday. And then after that conversation, obviously I was mentally, emotionally, physically exhausted. And so again, as I said yesterday, for somebody that's a doer, it can be really challenging to gracefully allow yourself time to rest. I can allow myself time to rest, but a lot of times I don't do it with grace. I do it with beating myself up. I do it with, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. You're lazy, you're not going to get anything accomplished, you're not being productive. Those are usually the voices that go through my mind. And so yesterday it was like, it didn't matter. Those voices didn't matter. And I was just much more graceful with them. And I couldn't. I just had to let my body do nothing and my mind do nothing for the day. And that was the other aspect I wanted to mention. If you have not read The Surrender Experiment and The Untethered Soul, I highly, highly recommend those two books. We had listened to The Surrender Experiment a couple of years ago, and then coming back from our ketamine retreat 3 months ago, we listened to it again. It was just so profound, and we started applying it to our life. And then we just recently started listening to The Untethered Soul, which is like the practicum, like how to actually do it in your life. And one of those processes is literally not clinging to thoughts, like letting them pass by. And, you know, of course we've heard this from lots of meditation teachers, but for some reason, it really hit me from this book from Michael Singer. And so that's what I've been practicing nonstop for the last couple days. Of every thought that comes through, I don't cling to it. I just let it pass. I don't try to stop the thoughts. I just let them pass instead of clinging to them. When you cling to them, then you're drugged down a rabbit hole of the whole conversation, of a framework of who you think you are. But I'm just trying to dismantle who I think I am so that I can connect with my true self, with my higher self. And in order to do that, I have to let go of the framework of the personality of Em and Emily. And that's an ego death. And I've done Bufo, 5-MeO, DMT, and that's sudden and quick. You have to let your ego die. But this process is like every day, every moment of every day. And it takes an incredible amount of awareness and attention and energy in every moment to not get lost in a thought form, to not get lost in a rabbit hole of where my thoughts want to take me. I have to just pass by them and not hold on to them. And it's like a constant egoic death, a constant death of the identity that I think I am and the protecting of that identity. And so along with, you know, what I experienced yesterday, it's this intense experience of just letting go in every moment. And for those of you that have gone through that process, you know it's arduous, and some days feels like, oh my God, it's like learning anything and practicing anything. So that is a culmination of yesterday, you know, the day before was still that practice of just letting go, not clinging to thoughts. So when I say there is never a dull day in my life, I mean it. Especially when you're on a path of spiritual growth or spiritual discovery, there's never a dull day. Especially as you become the witness more and you just become present more, you're just so much more aware of things instead of stuck in your mind in your own little bubble of reality. When you let go of that, you just start to see more and more and more reality as it is, instead of through your limited lens of the ego. And I mean, exciting things can happen. Big things can happen, and usually they do. So this is a really long video. Apparently I'm making up for the first 2 days. I hope that helped you guys. I hope to add value. I don't want to just make these videos just for you to watch me, because that's really boring and dumb. So hopefully each video is showing my vulnerability so that you can show yours, so that we can start to create conversations around authenticity and vulnerability and who we really are, as opposed to who we project ourselves to be as the identity, and then maybe grab some sort of token or crumb of something that's helpful that you can then, you know, perhaps apply, that just makes your life better and makes you better and just makes you the best version of you that you can be. So day 10. I think this was day 10. I'll have to watch the video back. Love you all.